ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಗೋಲ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಗಿತದೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
Hello, good morning all. I am Group Captain Dr. Prahlad Joshi. I will be covering the introduction to aerospace engineering. The course code is 21AE 5511. We have all traveled in one or the other means by air, by rail, by road, by not by ship, maybe by boat or a powered boat. So we all know how they operate. But the mystery behind the airplane is how it flies. Very few may be having opportunity to fly in the air, but yes, majority of us will not be having that flair to understand how does an aircraft fly. Yes, but in the childhood you may have flown the paper planes, and you may have understood that repeatability, how it flies. Once you flew, second time you cannot achieve the same distance, third time you cannot achieve the same time that it flies, the direction that it flies. So these are all the mysteries behind how an aircraft flies. And the introduction to aerospace engineering primarily teaches you this aspect as to how the airplane flies. The overview of the course is it aims in imparting education on history of aviation, how the first aeroplane flew by Wright brothers in the world, and its impact on our country, and how Indian aviation started growing up. The basic principles of flight and aircraft propulsion will be taught to you all. Various flight controls and performance of aircraft. Understand different systems of aircraft. Rocket propulsion and launching mechanism of satellites. The interesting point is we will be having these doubts in our mind, but there is no medium to answer these questions. So the course provides the platform for basically for addressing the answers for these questions. We hear the words aeronautics and aerospace, but we are not clear what is aeronautics and aerospace. What is aeroplane, airplane, and aircraft? We keep hearing these three terms, but we are not sure what is the difference between these three terms. Why does an aircraft fly and an automobile cannot? Both have engines, but aircraft only flies, whereas automobile doesn't. What is a rocket, missile, and space vehicle? The difference between them is not understood, so the course addresses this aspect also. What is the difference between an automobile engine and aircraft engine? To make a high payload aircraft to fly, what technology used in the aircraft engine? If I say Antonov 225 is the biggest aircraft in the world, it carries a maximum takeoff weight is 640 tons. So to make that aircraft fly, how powerful should the engine be? That will be covered in the propulsion capsules. And what is the versatility of helicopter and drones? How does a helicopter remain still in air whereas other aircraft cannot? That is what we call it as hovering. How does the aircraft, you might have seen YouTube videos where the Air Force goes and rescues the people in the flood, in the calamities. How does the helicopter remain still in the air to pull them up? What is the difference between unmanned air vehicle and a drone? They are used very loosely, whereas it is not like that. There is a difference between unmanned air vehicle and a drone. And how does the aircraft gets navigated through air? That's what we, from Belgavi, if we want to go to Delhi, how does we get direct to the destination? What is the navigational aids? What do we do to achieve that? It will all be covered in the during the course. The course contents primarily have Unit 1 will be Introduction to the Aircraft, 8 hours. Unit 2 will be Principles of Flight, 8 hours. Unit 3 is Aircraft Propulsion, 8 hours. Unit 4 is Aircraft Performance, Stability and Control, 8 hours. Unit 5 is finally the Aircraft Systems, 8 hours. and total syllabus is for 40 hours. And interesting thing that you will find is the introduction to the aircraft is a basically structure oriented subject which has a civil engineering element in it. Principles of flight and aircraft propulsion are mechanical engineering oriented. So you will have understanding of mechanical engineering also in this. Performance, stability and control again goes with the structure and the mechanical engineering. Aircraft systems per se will have the instrumentation background, will have the multifunctional displays, that is the computer science background. So all in all, you get an exposure to all the facets of the engineering, including your radio communication, that is electronics and communication. Then the electrical architecture of the aircraft will be taught, where you will have the electrical engineering background. So all these things, they are all clubbed in one course, but it is called as a introduction. So it is all basic elements will be taught to you, not in detail. So this module, total modules are of 5 and will be 40 hours. And the assessment methodology is you will have 2 IATs, each comprising of 30 marks, and 2 OBTs, 10 marks. Course seminar will be of 20, final marks will be 100. That will be reduced to 50 marks for the internal evaluation. And the semester end examination will be for 3 hours duration for 100 marks. It will be reduced to 50 marks for your SGPA and CGPA. This all about the course aspect. And here I finish. Thank you. Have a good day.
Good morning, everyone. I am Professor Nabilkar from Department of Architecture, and I will be handling the open elective for civil department students, that is cost-effective buildings. So now, why do we need cost-effective buildings? This is a very interesting topic in today's times. As we all know, buildings are major consumers of energy. Almost 50% of the energy is consumed by building industry. Also, 80% of the human life is spent in buildings. Buildings are also major consumers of resources. They have large carbon footprints. They are responsible for global warming, and they are also major determinant of global sustainability. Built environment has significant impact on energy, environment, and resources. As we all know, buildings will take up around 16% of world's fresh water withdrawal. 25% of wood is harvested because of building construction. 30% of consumption of raw material is due to buildings. Looking at all this data, like 50% of the global energy consumption is due to buildings. 35% of world's carbon emission is due to buildings. This data is very, very alarming. Again, moving on, 40% of the municipal solid waste is due to building industry. 50% of ozone depleting CFCs still in use due to building industries. 30% of the residents are already having sick building syndromes. So these are all the things which for which building industry is responsible. So majority today, in today's times, we have seen majority of the existing buildings have very low concern for water and energy conservation. We see rampant use of energy guzzlers buildings, like where there is air conditioning used. We have lot of use of glass. We have lot of use of steel being used in the building industry. So buildings need to be designed with utmost care and consideration for energy, resources, and sustainability. Again, moving on, the cost of construction nowadays is increasing. So with the cost of housing increasing, a normal weaker section of the society, low income group or middle income group, the housing has become non-affordable for them. So there is an urgent need to use innovative technologies which would bring down the cost of construction by using the materials and construction techniques which are efficient, effective and economic and are based on the use of research and development inputs, so that the cost of construction is reduced substantially. Now we go into the real topic, that is the only answer to all these problems is cost effective buildings. Now, what are these cost effective buildings? To just give you a overview of what is cost effective buildings, we have few examples here. These are the buildings that are produced to a low cost while maintaining the high standard of design and comfort. So down here in the slide, you can see residential buildings, institutional buildings, small scale, large scale buildings, but these are all done with eco sensitive approaches, cost effective construction techniques. So one you can see which is done with a locally available material like stone. The other one, which is a large scale project where you can see the use of rammed earth. And the third one is made with CSEBs, that is compact soil earth blocks. So from this you can see that the type of material, because majorly the building composes of materials. So when the materials are eco-sensitive or they are from the locally available areas, near to the site, they become cost effective, as well as the construction techniques used. Like you see specialized techniques, or these have been used age old times in the vernacular buildings like rammed earth, then the stone, and they are done with less energy intensive materials. So which are the energy intensive materials? We will look at it further in the elective. Moving ahead, we have a few foundations, certain foundations or certain organizations which are already into practice of cost-effective architecture. So, first one is the Costford Foundation, that is Center of Science and Technology for Rural Development in Kerala. This was founded by architect Laurie Baker, and in this slide you can see the various construction techniques used to cut down the cost. So when you cut down the cost and you don't compromise on the overall quality, what you come up with is cost effective architecture. It may be a house or it may be of any different scale buildings. So here you can see in the top, you can see a building which is flat roofed and the other which has a sloping roof. So what you see here is a flat roof will need steel and cement, which is energy intensive, but a sloping roof can be done with the locally available tiles, the locally available timber, so it cut downs on the cost. Similarly, if you have a contoured site, you have to see that it is the building is oriented along the contour and not across. And further on, various other techniques like this, where you can use corbelled openings rather than going for a typical steel lintel, go for brick jalis wherever necessary and cut down on the use of openings which are covered with glass and so on. So all these things will be covered in the syllabus. Now, there are few architects who have already been practicing cost-effective architecture. So, we are going to look at few architects in the syllabus during the course. So, here we have architect Laurie Baker and few of his projects. So, we are going to study how these projects have turned out cost-effective and what were the technologies used. These are few images. From the images you can see that they are you see the least use of cement, steel, glass. Wherever necessary it is being used, and yet they give you beautiful interiors. They are as good as any other structure which you find uh, around your area. So in a few of the slides you can see that even the interiors you can see they are not plastered. Wherever needed they are left exposed. You can see the furniture is also the locally available material like cane, and not going for glass. Wherever required, glass is just appropriately used. So even the appropriateness of using materials is important in cost effective buildings. There is another foundation. So in this course, we are going to look at few foundations which are already into practice of cost effective techniques. So this Unarshala Foundation in Kutch was established after the earthquake in Kutch around 2001, and the whole area was devastated. Thousands of people were homeless. So how this foundation took up the challenge of rebuilding or reconstruction of the habitat for hundreds and thousands of people with the locally available skill, locally available material, and this has been continued by this Hunarshala Foundation till date. So we are going to look at all these things further. The third one is Dharmalaya Institute. This is in Himachal Pradesh, and this is again an Indian educational and charitable organization. This also empowers change makers. They give you a very practical focus on solutions of sustainable living and adaptation of traditional wisdom. So you are going to look at how all these things, all these foundations are coming up with various cost-effective buildings around India. Now going into the course, the course code is 18 INT 57, and you will have 3 hours of lecture per week, which will be totaling to 42 hours per semester, and you will have a continuous evaluation of 50 marks, and the final SE will be of 50 marks. What will be the course learning objectives? Students will be sensitized towards cost effectiveness in construction. They will also understand the need for cost effective buildings, and also will come across lot of cost effective approaches in today's contemporary architecture with lot of examples from contemporary buildings. So the unit 1 will be of 9 hours, and it will cover the cost effective buildings, its meaning and cost effectiveness in construction, and also the costs involved in building construction. Unit 2 will be again of 9 hours, which will include cost effective concepts, design strategies, construction techniques and materials, and contribution of the foundations, which I have already discussed. Unit 3 will be the actual hands-on exercise by the students. So students will be divided into groups, and they will have to identify case studies which are of cost-effective ideology, and study the case studies and present them in the form of reports. So this will be a very interesting course. These are few references which are online as well as in the library. So this is all I have for you in the open elective of cost effective buildings. All the best, and thank you very much. Have a good day.
Very good morning, students. I'm myself, Professor Namita Bhatt. I'll be handling object-oriented programming with Java. The subject code is 21CS 551. So we'll discuss what are we going to learn in this particular subject. So what is OOPS? This OOPS, it has some key features like object, class, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction and encapsulation. So we are going to implement these key features using Java. So that is the main motto of this subject. Before discussing what are the key features, let's first look at the syllabus. It's a 3-credit course which is of 40 hours. In the first unit, we are going to discuss the key attributes of OOPS concept. So the key attributes are inheritance, abstraction, then encapsulation, polymorphism, right? So in first unit, we are going to discuss all the basic concept of OOPS, as well as how we are going to implement these OOPS concept using Java, right? So we are going to discuss the arrays and how are we going to declare the arrays in Java. So for this subject, you may require prior knowledge of C or C++. Okay. So yeah. In the second part of first unit, we are going to discuss the basic concepts of classes and objects. How are we going to create the classes and the objects, right? Each unit consists of 8 hours, right? In the second unit, we are going to discuss the methods and classes. How are we going to create the methods, and how are we going to use those methods inside the class, etc. Right? So the main important feature of Java is garbage collection. So it has automatic garbage collector where the memories are cleaned automatically, right? And we are going to also discuss the concept of method overloading in Java, right? And in our third unit, we are going to discuss the inheritance key feature of Java. This is again one of the very most important feature of Java. in this unit, we are going to use constructor. How are we going to create the constructor? What are constructors? Then what is multi-level hierarchy? Then how constructors are executed? And how are we going to achieve polymorphism using inheritance? And also we are going to discuss one more important concept, that is method overriding. And in the second chapter of third unit, we are going to discuss the interfaces, how to create interfaces, how are we going to implement interfaces, etc. Right? And in fourth unit, we are going to discuss the exceptions. So in C, you might have heard about the errors, right? Here, exceptions are nothing but errors, but these are runtime errors, right? So the main difference between error and exception is exception can be handled, whereas errors cannot be handled, right? So in this unit, we are going to discuss how are we going to handle the exceptions and what are the different ways of handling the exceptions. How are we going to use try and catch methods used for exception handling. And we also have, we are going to discuss some Java's built-in functions as well as built-in exceptions, and how to create our own exceptions. So we are going to discuss about exceptions in fourth unit, right? In the fifth unit, we are going to discuss about the packages. How are we going to create the packages? How are we going to access each and every package? We have three different access specifiers. If you are a C++ developer, you must have heard about these access specifiers like private, public, and protected, right? So that we are going to discuss in fifth unit. And in the second chapter of fifth unit, we are going to discuss about the Java collection framework. So this is one of the important concepts when you go to the IT industry. If you want to join IT industry, this concept is very important, collections framework. So using collection frameworks, we are going to implement stacks, queues. So all data structure concepts we are going to implement using collection framework, right? The prescribed textbook for this is E. Balguru Swami, Programming with Java, a primer. So this is the textbook, and there is one more textbook, that is Herbert Shield. The textbook name is Java Fundamentals, Comprehensive Introduction, right? You have to use 7th edition. And there are some resources given here. The links are given. You can refer these also. Now let's come back to the key features of Java. What are the features, and how are we going to implement these in Java? So as I've said, the key features are classes. So what is a class? So in order to understand class, you have to first understand object, right? So in Java, each and every entity is considered as an object which has its own state and behavior, like your bike, pen, or fan. So these are different objects, right? Now, the collection of object is nothing but a class. So collection of cars, different types of cars. So it is a collection of object, collection of car, which comes under vehicle class. So collection of truck. So these are objects. Objects are nothing but collection of objects are nothing but instance of a class, right? And the next feature is inheritance. So you know, right? A child inherits the properties of his parents, right? For example, maybe the character, like color of the skin or the eyes, right? So these properties will be inherited from the parent. So in Java, we consider this as parent class, and the class which inherits these properties are child classes. So we are going to implement the inheritance, or we are going to achieve inheritance in Java using parent and child classes. And polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but one task is performed in different ways, like the sound of a particular person, or sound of duck, sound of dog. So here sound is a particular task which is performed in different ways. For human beings, the sound is different. For animals, the sound is different. In animals also, again, for birds, the sound is different. For dogs, the sound is different, right? So the same task sound is performed in different ways. So this is polymorphism. So we are going to implement all these key features in Java. So this is the main idea behind OOPS with Java. So the main motto of this particular subject is to implement all OOPS concept in Java, right? So if you are a Java, if you have proficiency in Java, you can get many job opportunities like you can become a Java developer or Java product manager, right? So you have thousands of opportunities in IT industry when you go to the IT company. If you are a Java, if you have Java proficiency, then you can get a lot of opportunities in IT companies. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Thank you, students.
Honestly, I played a lot. Yeah, mine. More than 5. Yeah, so open it to one getting more than
Very good morning, students. Myself, Dr. R.S. Patil, working as Associate Professor in Department of Computer Science. Today I am here to give a brief introduction about the open elective subject called as data structures, which is going to be taken for the 5th semester students. As mentioned in the slide, the subject code is going to be 21 CS 552. Let me tell you what exactly data structure. Data structure is a storage that is used to store and organize the data. Means in nowadays we are seeing a lot of data. How to organize the data and how to store as well as how to retrieve the data. So there are n number of data structures. So those are going to be useful to store these data. Or I can say that it is a way of arranging the data on a computer so that it can be accessed and updated efficiently. Means whenever you store any data in any of the format, the retrieval should become very easy. So for that we will be studying n number of different data structures under this particular subject. As I mentioned in the slide, the prerequisite for this particular subject is going to be basic computer concepts and C programming. So these are the prerequisites which are required for the data structure subject. Let me go back to the course information. What exactly you will be studying in this particular subject? Look into the slide. In the flowchart I have mentioned under data structure we are going to study two different types of data structures. One is a linear data structure, second one is a non-linear data structure. In linear data structure, we are going to talk about arrays, stack, queue and linked list. Whereas in non-linear data structure, there are two types. One is graphs and trees. But as in our syllabus, we have not kept graphs for your syllabus. We have kept only trees. But let me come back to linear data structure. Look into the name itself says what is linear. Linear is nothing but a sequential manner. Means all the four data structures which are going to be there in this particular part, that is arrays, stack, queue and linked list, are going to be a linear data structure, where we are going to study about the basic concept of all these four and how to implement all these four data structures, and what are the applications of all these four data structures will be covering in linear data structure. In the similar fashion, we will go to non-linear data structure, where in trees we are going to discuss about what is trees, what is basic terminology or what is basic definitions which are there in trees, and we will be covering three different types of trees. Those are, what is binary tree, second one is binary search tree, third one heaps. So about all these three types we will be discussing the basic operations of the trees, what are the tree traversals, as well as how to implement all these applications which are related to trees. So these will be covered in non-linear data structure. Let me repeat once again, in linear data structure as well as in non-linear data structure, we will be covering all the basic concepts about the data structures, their implementation and applications of these data structures. So these will be covered in first 4 units. Let me cover how exactly this syllabus is divided. The first unit is going to consist of the basic revision of C programming, because that is the prerequisite as I told in my previous slide. So in first unit we'll be covering what is arrays, pointers, dynamic memory allocation, recursion and strings. So those will be covered in first unit, and in the second unit we'll be covering about stacks and queues. Third unit we are going to cover about linked list. In fourth unit we are going to cover about trees, and after this the unit 5 is about hashing. So what exactly hashing? It is nothing but a data structure that maps a value from a certain domain or a range to another domain or a range. Look into the given example over here. I want to map all these string values which are there in the LHS, that is in left hand side of the thing. By applying the hash function, I'll get some locations in the array. So I'll be mapping all these values into the array. So it is also called as a key and value pair. So this hashing concept is going to be covered in unit 5. So what we will be covering here, we are going to cover what are the different hashing methods, okay, and second concept is the collision resolution techniques. Means whenever you are going to apply the hashing algorithms, we are going to get some collisions. How to avoid those collisions will be covered in collision resolution techniques. Basically there are 8 methods of hashing. So that is the first part of your unit. The second part of unit is collision resolution technique, where we will be covering around 4 methods. So this is about the syllabus. Then what are the course outcomes? As this particular subject is taken by the non-IT branch students, so most of the electrical software packages, yes, they are using the data structures as well as algorithms, as well as almost all the software tools have a good applications in civil engineering or in mechanical engineering. Most of the design as well as analysis softwares which make our work easy are using algorithms and data structures. So that's why even for the other branch students it is going to be useful when they are going to come up with any one of the product or the application. And third most important course outcome is if you are appearing for a campus interviews, when it comes to product based companies, yes, companies are preferring taking interviews on data structure subject. So this is all about what I wanted to talk about my subject, data structures. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, my dear students. Today I am here to present a small opening video regarding the open elective subject of web programming. The code goes 21 CS 554. Okay, my name is Veena Kangralkar and I am an assistant professor from CSE department, and I'll be giving you an overview about this subject. and then you can decide on to whether you want to go for this subject or not. Okay. Now, first of all, to introduce web programming, whenever we think about web programming, we always think about internet. We think about internet and how useful internet is to us. Okay, so whenever we access internet, you can see always, an interface appears in front of us, and sometimes this interface changes from website to website as well when we are surfing different websites. So have you ever wondered how these websites are created? So this is with the help of your web programming. So web development uses internet to source itself. That is the source of information to it. Okay, and it all started back in 1960s. Also, the World Wide Web, that is the organization to which we have web programming adhering to, like all the standards that we refer to are in World Wide Web. Okay, which started in the year 1991, and then came the first browser, that is Netscape, in 1994, and then the whole era started to begin. The earlier web browser was Netscape. It was a simple browser which used to give you the normal information, but then you have a series of web browsers, like you have your Chrome, you have Opera Mini, you have Edge, you have Mozilla, you have Internet Explorer, and goes on. Okay, now you must be wondering why we have so many browsers whenever we go to Chrome and our work is done. That I will tell you when you take this subject up, because every browser is not going to render your information. There are some loopholes why those browser don't. Okay, now if I have to talk about the subject, it is a combination of three elements, like the three musketeers here. Okay, so you have your HTML, then you have CSS, and then you have a JavaScript. You can see the figure here, it is an indefinite loop, because HTML refers CSS, CSS refers to JavaScript, and then again JavaScript in turn refers to HTML, then again it goes on. Okay, all these three things make up web programming. So in a small example, I'll tell you how these three things work. Okay, so now what I have to tell you about HTML is hypertext markup language. You will know about markup language when you take up this subject. And what HTML does, it is just going to prepare a structure for you. Just imagine that you are constructing your home, and when you're constructing your home, you have these pillars, you have walls, everything, that is a structure that we create. Then if I have to explain CSS with respect to this example, then you want some colors onto those walls, you want the pillars to be decorated, you want POP done. That is nothing but CSS, that is cascading style sheet, that bring colors to your structure, that brings a pleasing eye look to your web page. So that's why your web page looks more eye catchy. That's because of CSS. The structure will be provided by HTML. The coloring, the getup, the look will come through CSS. Then you have JavaScript. Now, once your home is done, the structure is well made up, you have chosen your colors, all the interior decoration is completed. Then comes JavaScript. You have put switchboards, right, in your home. Now, if you on the switch, the light will go on, and you off the switch, the light will go off. That means the actions that are taking place are through JavaScript. So any events that occur and what are the effects of that event is represented by your JavaScript. So you can see all these things are together. They are linked. So you have HTML for a structure, then you have CSS for its coloring, for any changes you want to make, borders, the curved borders, all those things. And then JavaScript is like any event that is taking place. You must be seeing a login page so many times, right? So when you enter the username and the password, and when you log in, an action is taking place, that is through your JavaScript. Okay, so all these things work together. So I've just given you a small brief intro on these three things. You have a lot more to learn, and that we will cover when you take up this subject. So why should you go for web programming? Web programming is everywhere. Okay, now the best part about web programming is you can try to create your own pages. You don't really have to struggle with the logic. If you are good with the syntax, and if you are good to go with the tags and how you have to enhance your page, you can excel in web programming. Now, if I go with the stats, there are 48% of people cited that the design of the website is primary factor in precisely determining the credibility of your business. See, the more eye-catchy your website is going to be, you are going to lure more people into it. More people are going to visit your website because of that. If it has a good web page which is responsive in nature, which is doesn't take much time to load. These are all the characteristics that build your website. You could be the one doing this. Now let's get into the syllabus of web programming. It's an open elective subject. It's a 3 credit course students, and you take 40 hours for teaching and 10 hours of flip class. You don't have to worry about the flip class. Flip class is going to be a very exciting journey because whatever we learn through the subject, I'll put up some exciting assignments for you all and you can do it on your own. That is flipped learning. Something which you are doing on your own, learning on your own with a little knowledge that I've provided to you, and that covers your flip learning. So it's very exciting that you don't know a subject from the scratch, but through learning you're able to do it. That has a different flavor of itself. Okay, then objectives. Course objectives are you'll be able to understand course objective is basically to understand the HTML, XHTML and create the web pages. So you'll know the difference between them as well. Then to design web pages with CSS, as I told you what CSS does. To utilize this JavaScript for interactive pages on the client side. So you have this client side and you have server side. So how they interact, all those things. To understand server side programming, and that can be deployed on any device. So I'll tell you about what is deployment, I will tell you what is client side programming, what is server side programming, and how these communicate. Okay, the prerequisite for the subject is your C programming. Definitely I'm not going to ask you to learn each and every concept, but you need to know how a programming language works, how the flow is. Okay, so that's why the concepts of C programming are important, as well as database management systems. If you don't know these terms also, don't worry, we'll have a brush up on this. So the first unit is fundamentals of web and XHTML, like how the internet started, what is www, what are the web browsers, then web servers, then how these communicate, what is HTTP. You can see that in a URL you get HTTP, right, hypertext transfer protocol. What is it doing, what is MIME doing, so many things. So that all the basics of how we get started with web programming will be done in your first unit. Then comes CSS, where you learn different options, like how to list something in your web page, how to add tables, how to add a form, frames, how you can get good sheets, and how you can change your web page through CSS. All that you'll be learning. Then you have introduction to JavaScript, where we'll be starting with small functions like arrays, constructors, then pattern matching, and then you'll have a higher version to go with, where you try to understand what is a document object model, which is a very important concept here. And finally we come to the server side programming, where we are going to learn PHP, pretext pre-processing hypertext. So that will be done here. Okay, and then here is the split up of your flip learning, which is shown for every unit 2 hours. So if we complete one assignment, that will be mapping to this. So the book that we are going to refer is a very good book, that is Robert Sabesha, which has start to end everything present, and it's a very good book through which we can learn. And also I'll be introducing to a new book by John Dean. He's a professor at the Parkville University, a very beautiful book you can use. As you know, these are the course outcomes that you're seeing. Definitely once you have learned this subject, you'll be able to explain and acknowledge the basic concepts of web programming. You'll be able to describe the usage of XHTML, CSS for any real-time representation. You'll be able to implement simple applications with HTML, CSS, JavaScript and PHP. Also, you'll be able to develop projects using these concepts. Now, the scheme is in front of you. You can refer the scheme to the syllabus as well. And the other side, I'm showing you the job roles, what you can get through learning through web programming. First of all, the skill that you develop is you can create dynamic web pages, you can design the website, that is you can create your website, you can do much more. Also, the industries that offer web programming jobs are your product based and service based and social media. And the jobs roles that you can grab on is a front end developer or a web designer, and also the most boomed up job, that is the full stack developer. Of course, for full stack developing you require front end as well as back end developing, but once you get going with the subject, you'll get an idea of front end developing, and that will open you up for the back end as well, and you can have your choice to go ahead with. Now students, why I want you to take this subject is because since this subject is for the other branches apart from CS and IS, you'll get an exposure to a programming language, and you don't have to completely dig into the logic, the looping, all those constructs. You don't have to do that. You just need to know the proper elements, how the syntax, how the structure works, and you can do wonders in this subject. And you can always count onto this. And you know that the front end developing jobs are also very popular in the industry, and you can grab onto that opportunity. So with this, I end my presentation, and I'm looking forward to you to take up this subject, and we can do some exciting scripts together where you can learn how to design your own website. Thank you.
Start, I think. Good morning, students. Michael, okay. So we are here today to give the introduction to the open elective, which is offered by the Department of Civil Engineering, that is Road Safety Engineering. Okay, so this elective will be offered by Civil Department, and we are offering it for around 120 students. So we will be having two classrooms, 60 each. So, and it will be handled by two faculty. That is, one is myself, that is I'm Dr. Nitendra Palankar. I'm working as a professor, and the another section will be handled by Professor Karthik Kulkarni. He is also working as an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. So actually we have two sessions on this particular road safety, but since the introduction remains the same, so I will only explain you or give you all the insight about this particular subject. Okay. Now here the subject code for this subject is 21CV553. Okay, and totally we will be having 40 hours of lectures, and the subject name as it is highlighted on the screen, that is road safety. It's an open elective. So mainly this particular subject is included just to make sure that all the people who are there in the engineering background, maybe civil engineers or the people from the other background or other streams, they also get to know about the aspects of road and what is meant by road safety and all. So mainly in this particular subject, we will be concentrating on some of the aspects related to road safety, how different measures are taken whenever there is a road accident, what are the different agencies that are involved in the accidents, or maybe what are the skills that are needed for the drivers, what are the various causes because of which road accidents occur, or other than that, we will also be covering some aspects on the roles and the responsibilities of various organizations, maybe government organizations or maybe non-government organizations, who will be involved in mitigating the road safety. Okay, and also we will be also covering few portions about basics about the roads also, just not about the road safety engineering. We will be covering certain aspects in the beginning of the subject. We will be covering some aspects about the road, on what are the features of the road, what components a road has, and other than that, what are the different technical terms that are involved with the road. So we will be covering that as well. Later on, again, slowly as we move towards the syllabus, we will be also talking about the various factors that affect the road accidents and also other things. Over that, we also will be covering about some guidelines, some rules, regulations, some acts, and some laws that are involved with the road safety. Okay, whenever there is an accident, what are the different guidelines or different rules and acts which are going to be considered. So basically this subject again is divided into various modules. 5 units we have. So in the first unit, as I told, we will be covering some basic concepts. Okay, here we will be talking about the importance about the transportation engineering, how the road systems developed in India, what was the history of the roads in our country, and how over the years the development of the roads took place. And for such developments to happen, which were the various committees, which were the various road development plans, and which were the various government organizations which played a role in this part. So that we will be just what to call looking into when we come to the unit 1. Other than that, we will be also what you call covering some portion about the basics of the roads, in the sense when we speak about a road, what a particular road means, and how its alignment is decided, what are the different features in the road, in the sense what is where, how many components are there, whether there is a median, whether there is a shoulder, whether and which portion is the pavement, how much should be the width of the pavement, how much should be the width of the drains, how much should be the width of the shoulders, all such things we will be covering. So this is basically coming under a part of geometrics of roads. Okay, so wherein we term this entire particular portion as geometrics, highway geometrics or road geometrics. So again, as I told, before we go to the road safety, we first need to know what are the different components of the road. So that portion will be covered here in this unit 1, and slowly, just as we finish this part, we will be moving to the road safety, where we will be discussing about the various causes that are governing an accident. What may be the reasons? We will be also talking about some statistics of some of the accidents that have taken place over the years. Okay, and also what are the rules, what are the reasons behind the accidents that happen, and what is the damage that is caused, and what are the different engineering measures that we have to take in order to control this particular accidents. So this portion or in the unit number 1, we will be mainly touching the basics of the components of roads and also the history of the roads, and then we will be slowly moving towards the road safety. In the unit number 2, again we will go in much detail about the reasons and various causes which are which govern the accidents. So here we'll be talking about the human causes or the human characteristics or the vehicle characteristics which are going to cause or which are responsible for the accidents, how the accidents occur, and what are the reasons behind that. Here also we will be discussing about 1 or 2 theories which are related to the human characteristics, which we call as PIV theory, or it is also called as reaction time theory. So other than that, various components, various parts of traffic rules and regulations. What are the traffic rules and regulations? What are the pedestrian rules and regulations? What facilities have to be provided for the pedestrians? Pedestrians are those people who don't use a vehicle while they are walking on the road or whenever they are using the road. So we will be talking about them. So again, what standards we have in our IS or in our Indian standard codes or in our Indian Roads Congress standards about for bus stops and for zebra crossings and for other people. So all these things about the facilities that are to be provided for pedestrians, along with the causes for the accident, that is human and vehicle characteristics, that thing we will be discussing. We will be also touching upon the part of Motor Vehicles Act. So whatever rules and regulations that are made in our country, they are mainly based on the Motor Vehicle Act. So which was actually formed long back 1940, but again it was amended in the year 1998, and again recent amendment was 2019. So we will be touching upon this particular act also, wherein we will be discussing the various fines that are imposed on the people who break the rules. Okay, so what is the crime, or what is the offense, and what is the what you call penalty that is laid upon that particular person. So those things are going to be covered in this particular unit number 2. Other than that, some other things like whichever are the regulating agencies, like maybe you will be taking the RTO and how the licensing is given to the vehicle users, and also what are the different penalties, appeals, rules, classifications, and traffic offenses. All these things we shall cover in the unit number 2. Then moving ahead with the unit number 3, which is mainly related to accidents. Okay, so here we will be talking about the various causes for accidents, how an accident occurs, how many accidents occur in our country, the statistics of that, and after an accident occurs, what is the role of the agencies. Okay, so here we will be mainly talking about the or discussing the reasons for the accident. So there may be n number of reasons, but how after an accident, how the government agencies like police department plays a role, or what role the hospitals play, what role the non-government agencies play, what role the local bodies play, and after that how the accident scenario is this thing evaluated after the accident, what are the different types of diagrams which we draw and understand the engineering what you call lacuna in that particular scenario. So for that, again, here we are speaking about the collection of accident data. So in this thing we will be covering all that. So there are various types of diagrams which are drawn, which we call as condition diagrams and collision diagrams, which give a track of how the possible what was the possible trend, or the what was the possible cause of accident. So all that things we will be covering in the first part of the unit number 3, whereas in the second part we will be here talking about the road mishaps and accidents. That is, what are the rules that have to be played by the local people. Maybe once an accident happens, what should be the first aid that has to be given, how the ambulance services have to operate, what is the importance of blood what you call donations, and after the accident has happened, how the person who has gone into trauma, how he has to be rehabilitated. All such things we will be covering. So again, this is basically wherein the people and also the some non-government organizations, some communal organizations, or some religious organizations play a role in the helping the accident victims. So here we will be talking about that. Then when we come to the unit number 4, here in this case we are going to mainly talk about the management of the traffic. So in this case we are again going to speak about what are the different rules and regulations for the drivers as well as for the different what you call agencies. Okay, and again, how the road safety is promoted in our country. Now again, for example, we all know that we celebrate a particular day which is called as Road Safety Day in our country. So that is a part of a promotion wherein people are made aware about the accident and its what you call problems that can cause the particular victims. So how to promote that, and what different agencies help, and also how the coordination happens between the local agencies and the government agencies. Say example, an accident happens, then what the local people will be doing first, and how they will communicate the things to the government agencies, and then later on how it is taken further, what the role will be played by the hospitals and all that also. So these are all some of the things that we will be covering here. Again, here are some things related to compulsory safety training to the drivers of all classes, mainly the heavy vehicles and all such things. That all we will be discussing. Also a part of role of NGOs and media and all other voluntary organizations in promoting road safety we will be discussing here. Also, in the second part of it, we will also be talking about the vehicle parking and overtaking rules. So whatever maneuvering acts that are played on the roads, whatever driving skills are shown, or whatever the things that happen on the road, for all that, what are the rules and regulations, what are the penalties related to that, and again, how it can be prevented. Say example, if you're taking the case of drink and drive, what is the penalty for that, how it has to be prevented, what can be done for that. Okay, maybe some people who are taking drugs or other intoxicants and using the roads. So some strict stringent rules and penalties related to such illegal or what you call as unsafe methods of road usage is covered in this particular portion or in the unit number 4. Then we move on to the last unit, which is again a very general unit wherein we are going to discuss about the accident causes, okay, or how it can be mitigated. So we here talk about the 4 E's, which are nothing but engineering, education, and all that. Okay. So again, we will be discussing about the celebration of Road Safety Week. So we have a entire week that is celebrated wherein we are going to discuss how various organizations are celebrating it, how the central government is celebrating it, how much of funding is given to the various organizations to celebrate this particular road safety week. Okay, and also the role of private partners when it comes to the celebration of road safety weeks. We also discuss about the road safety audit here. In the road safety audit, we will be discussing, it's a very big topic actually, a road safety audit, but we have just tried to include, since the subject is mainly concerned with road safety, this plays a very important part. So we will be here in this part of road safety audit, we will be discussing how the audit is carried out, wherein we will be discussing about the accurate evaluation of the road conditions, also the accident conditions, history of the accidents, history of the person who is involved, and how that particular process flow goes on. So that part we will be covering in this particular thing. So this is again a general topic which is again related to road safety celebrations and also the road safety audit. Again, in the last part here, we will be also talking about the new and the latest technologies that are involved in the road safety. We call it as in ITS, which is nothing but intelligent transport systems, or the use of modern tools. Okay, so here this is one of the role where the students from other backgrounds, like mainly circuit branches, maybe computer science or electronics or ENCP students, can make best use of, wherein you can use your skills of maybe programming or maybe use of sensors or maybe any other things, wherein we can come up with some new tools for creating safer roads. Okay, so here we will be talking mainly about the new what you call strategies or new systems that have come in, which are being used in all the developed countries and also in our country, wherein the road safety can be improved. So that is also a part that we will be covering. So this is about the subject, that is road safety. These 5 units I've just elaborated what we will be covering. Again, it's not much technical. Okay, we don't have a lot of technical content in this, but again, it's a very general topic, and I feel students from other branches will be able to get good information from this subject, and also what you call can you make the best use of this particular subject in developing some products. For example, last year 2 years back, we had a faculty who had applied for a funding in the ENC department, who got a funding, and he was working on the road safety itself, or one concept of road safety, which involved cameras and sensors, and which was mainly focused on the improving the this thing, safety of the road. So once you undergo this particular subject, maybe you will come up with some new ideas with your part of knowledge of this thing, technology, which can be incorporated in the road safety and help the society what to call get a better and safer roads. So this is all about this particular subject. So again, as I told, this will be handled by my Dr. Nitendra Palankar, and my colleague here with me, Professor Karthik Kulkarni. So if there are any further queries with this particular subject, you can come and personally meet us. We will be available in the staff room in the Department of Civil Engineering. So you can come and get more insights about the subject if it is needed. Okay. So again, I'll end my presentation here. So we were given a slot of 20 minutes. So I think I've tried to cover up all the possible parts that is required for the students. Okay. So I'll end my presentation. So if there are any queries, you can come and meet me in the Department of Civil Engineering. Thank you. Stop. Stop.
ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ತಂಗೆ
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nehal Santaji. I'll be briefly introducing about healthcare system, which is an open elective offered by the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering for 5th semester. The name of the subject is Healthcare Systems. Subject code is 21 EC 551 for 5th semester. This is outline. So coming to the introduction part, the healthcare system, this course comes under biomedical engineering. So biomedical engineer plays very important role in healthcare sector to develop or to manufacture new biomedical instruments. So prerequisites required for this subject is engineering mathematics, and then biology and basic electronics. So coming to the subject introduction, unit 1 is basically introduction to biomedical engineering, wherein you'll understand the different what is the role of what is a biomedical engineer, and what are the different roles played by the biomedical engineers. So here you will understand the historical perspective of modern healthcare system. So anyone, the recent advances in biomedical engineering will be discussed. So in Unit 2, students will understand what are the different ethical practices in healthcare system. So basically here two moral norms have been discussed. The one is beneficence and non-maleficence. So any biomedical engineer or design engineer must keep one thing in mind, that whatever the medical instruments or the treatments or the diagnostic and therapeutic equipments which they are manufacturing, they should always benefit to the patient. It should not harm to the patient. So with respect to that, these are some two moral issues which are discussed in this unit 2. And one more is regulation of medical device innovation under FDA, which is one of the the innovation this thing which is taking care of the regulation of medical device innovation. Unit 3 is anatomy and physiology. So here students must know brief, like whatever we studied in PUC second year, like biology. So few things have been discussed here. What is cell? A group of cell is tissues, group of tissues is organ, and group of organs is a organ system. So in brief about this is been discussed here, and after that students will learn more about how the electric potential is generated within a nerve cell. Okay, so here origin of biopotential and is has been discussed, will be discussed. And then there are different measurement techniques, biopotential measurement techniques like ECG, EEG, EMG will be discussed in detail. So this is about unit 3. Unit 4 is analysis of biosignal. So for analysis of any biosignal, here we'll be taking up one example of a signal processing, that is cardiological signal processing. So in detail about ECG will be discussed in unit 4. And in unit 5, in general, it is a patient monitoring systems. So few monitoring systems will be discussed in unit 5. So this is about the subject. The subject is quite theoretical, and it is with a block diagram approach. No much mathematical analysis is required in this. So quite theoretical, and it is with a block diagram approach. These are the textbooks and reference books. So one of the textbook is available in the library, and remaining textbooks and reference books we can download it, like we can get it in the Google. So prerequisites, as I said, any branch student like computer science, information science, electrical engineer can opt for this course. Why only this? Even mechanical student also can opt for this subject. As we know that biomedical engineering is like it is not only a single engineer. It is actually the computer science, mechanical, electrical, electronics, all engineers will contribute in this in developing any medical instrument or medical device. What are the skills and competences enhanced after undergoing this subject? Students will learn different biopotential measurement techniques like ECG, EEG, EMG. And here students also can take up some like course projects. They can have a survey on this. They can have a survey. They can visit they can visit any hospitals, and they can have a survey on some techniques like ECG, EEG. Students will be able to demonstrate electrode potential measurement using EEG lab tool. So for a course activity we can use MATLAB. In that we have a EEG lab tool. They can use it, and they can have a course project on this. So students will be able to understand different patient monitoring systems, different instruments also they can understand. So while understanding this, they can learn some different sensors also, which are used in biomedical field. Applicable industry sectors and domains, sales, servicing and maintenance. So here this profile deals with the sales and servicing of devices, equipments and instruments which are used at the hospitals as a maintenance engineer or field service engineer. So even in the biomedical engineer can also work at the hospitals. They can work at research and development centers, at healthcare units, and medical device industry. So which are the different industries offering the job opportunities? So in our college we had a cardiac labs which basically manufacture biomedical instruments, and they install it in different hospitals, nearby hospitals. So cardiac labs, Samsung, they have already recruited few of the students from the CS and IS branch only. And apart from this, we have Biocon, Philips, Apra Labs, TVS Electronics, G Healthcare. These are the industries comes under biomedical engineering. They have a healthcare sectors. And what are the different job roles offered in the market for the students taking up this course? Any branch student like CS, IS or electrical or electronic engineer can work as a testing engineer or system engineer, program analyst, research scientist, design engineer, maintenance engineer, software engineer, or installation engineer. So these are different job roles offered by the companies. Thank you. No. It stops okay now.
म्यूट होतं नाही कुठेतरी इकडे ओके गुड मॉर्निंग ऑल myself Professor Anil Gowde. I'm associated with the EC department, and I'm going to teach a subject called subject with a title Biomedical Image Understanding and Analysis. Let me brief you about this subject. Basically, this is little research oriented subject. Whatever the research it is happening into EC department related to cancer and artificial intelligence, through that this subject nurtured. And the department is of very much interested into getting the student into more or into the research, because many students will go for their masters, as well as many are interested into getting into research. So assuming that to give you the field of research into biomedical and artificial intelligence, we have started with this subject 2 years back. And we have seen a lot of upcoming days will have one or the other way. Clinicians will be depending more on artificial intelligence rather than their own thing. It is not going to replace the humans, but it is a secondary assessor, what I can say. So whenever we are dealing with biomedical image related aspects, either it is in a form of pathological data or radiological data, this subject addresses specifically with image in either 2 dimension or sequence of 2 dimension, what we call as time series data. Normally the MRI and CT scan, they come in a form of a time series data. We will be dealing with biopsy data, which is part of tissue based analysis, and radiology data, when we talk, it is more or with area based analysis. So this subject we started during 2021, and still the subject is continued. Several students got
advantages with this subject is this subject and the work whatever we are doing, we are associated with KLE Hospital, Belgaum, and I'm continuously working with biomedical image understanding and analysis with my clinical mentor, Dr. Rajendra Nirli. So here we will be getting some sort of a clinical support from KLE Hospital Urology Department through my clinical mentor. So let me go through the go through quickly through the subject. Syllabus mainly it consists of 5 units. The first chapter, which introduces to biomedical image, we will deal with two-dimension information from simple signal and how it is represented as two-dimension signal, and what is the difference with normal image and biomedical image. That we will deal. We will introduce you to different areas of image processing. It comes with the restoration, enhancement, then reconstruction process. We have all application. We will just get into the topics. We will understand their application and how they are related to image processing, and we will understand the basic fundamentals, how much it is required for us. We will go through that. Then the second chapter, which starts with, as I said, the title itself suggests analysis and understanding. It refers the machine should have some sort of a intelligence, and machine the algorithm is having some sort of a intelligence in taking the decision. So minimum entity, what we can introduce here, it is artificial neural network. Artificial neural network, here we will start with simple perceptron, and we will migrate the same thing till the back propagation algorithm. We will take up the entire architecture of neural network from perceptron to multi-layer perceptrons, then back propagation, forward propagation, etc. Also, different architectures which are involved in ANN we will deal. Then we will introduce what are the difficulties with ANN, and that are improved. I'm restricting myself with two dimension. I'm not going to deal anything about one dimension. ANN hold good for one dimension. How they fail for two dimension, we will take up, and eventually we will migrate to the third unit, which is called convolution neural network and its application. If you take older applications of AI with biomedical, they are moreover with convolution neural network. Here we will introduce to you the migration from artificial intelligence to deep neural network basically, and whatever the study we are doing, it is restricted with only with supervised learning. So we will study both machine learning as well as deep learning applications and algorithms. This subject is more algorithm oriented rather than theory. So also you'll be dealing with coding. The third unit, which focuses on segmentation, as we say, when we want to analyze or to make some interpretation out of that, the object should be separated from the foreground and background. Like we have to separate them, then make the analysis. So the process is called segmentation. We will go through deep neural network models, wherein you're going to study about UNet and VNet, which are old deep neural models which are used in biomedical application specifically, and we will implement those architectures also. And final chapter, it is more on classification and visualization and analysis. So if you refer to the entire structure of this curriculum, the first chapter will introduce to you as a fundamental to the image processing, and that too biomedical image processing. The second is with building little intelligence with simple perceptron, and the drawback of neural network, and which is improved with CNN. And then we deal with like the next stages which are involved for analysis and understanding. So the final chapter, we have some applications we have quoted, like we have I'll go through that. Here we expect minimum thing, the minimum knowledge from the student is interest to learn and involve in the subject. It is something like these are the upcoming trends, and we assume that our students should get into the upcoming trends. So the coding will be dealt with Python and PyTorch. Also, at the same point, you people can work with math work also. My focus would be on Python and PyTorch, because I'm using these I'm using these tools for implementation with Python and PyTorch. Earlier we have used MathWork, but the industry recommendations are with Python and PyTorch framework, which is used for deep learning. Other than that, you can explore MathWork. Already it is available with our institute. You can explore image processing toolbox as well as deep learning toolbox. It is also available. Then you can so these are the additional aspect of the subject. Okay, these are our team details. So this is what we started. I'll just take you to the other part. So just have a go through this syllabus. Is whatever I have provided. It is just the compressed version of the same content. So this syllabus is available with your syllabus copy, or you can just download it from EC department. It is available. So yes. The other advantage of opting this subject is we do have AI Cancer Research Center at Department of ECE, wherein several students are working with us. They have completed their internship at KLE Hospital. Then we have completed 2 to 3 projects during last academic year. Also, 2 PhD scholars who are working into the same domain. Then currently we are working with the clinical data of more than 1,000 patients of prostate cancer, wherein we have both biopsy as well as MPMRI data of the same patients are available with us, and several students currently undergoing their internship as well as project with the same project. This is about our team. Dr. Nerli, who is our clinical associate, and you can see these are the students who are involved with our activities. And over the year, we have published, these are the publication out of the biomedical research which is happening at EC department, and out of that we have recently published with students are involved with the publication. So the top second, third and fourth, you can observe students are involved with these publications. So the takeaway for students is they will learn with Python and PyTorch framework for artificial intelligence in that dedicated with deep neural network architectures and model. We have not restricted only with CNNs. We will demonstrate you with the latest NLP technologies which we are using for our project, and we will have exposure to work with NLP transformers, which we deal with the time series data. And currently, whatever the LLM models you are dealing, it is more or they are based on the transformers. So we assume that our students should get into this segment and they should acquire the latest cutting edge technology into 2 dimension or 3 dimension data, and you'll get an exposure to write different papers and you can publish with us. That's one. Industry wise, as I can say, whatever you are working for image processing, you can elaborate to for any other application, not necessarily image. You can just you can put it to any other application also with minor modification. So we are focusing more on the algorithm rather than the application. Here I'm using it for biomedical application. The same could be elaborated for satellite imagery or videos, any 3D data you can deal. Then addition, you'll get internship at it is your interest to take up internship into biomedical. You people can join with us with our team, and you can explore the possibilities to continue your project. And industry, if you take most of the top-notch companies who are working with computer vision and machine learning or deep neural network, deep learning, that areas are which you can attempt. You can get back to me with any if you like any other aspects, like whatever the clarifications are required regarding your internship or project which you can take up. Like we want the CS student and IS student to get into these sort of subjects. So it will be win-win situation for both of us. It is more or interdisciplinary, and you'll be working with clinical data. That is the added advantage of this subject. You can reach to me at EC department, or you can any clarification requires, you can contact me. Yes, thank you. This
त्यांनी हे करतात मॉनिटर
stop.
Hello students, welcome to the presentation and the introductory session for an open elective under the 2021 scheme for 5th semester students, which will be offered by me under the name of Modern Electric, Hybrid Electric and Fuel Cell Based Vehicles. And I am Professor Abhishek Deshmukh, working as assistant professor in the Department of E&C Engineering at JIT. So the outline of this presentation, a short introduction about the history of electric vehicles, how we were thinking of electric vehicles before we shifted to fuel-based vehicles. That is we are exploiting the natural resources, and then now again we are going back towards electric vehicles, or we are going back to a hybrid mode where we can switch between electric power, or we can switch towards the gasoline fuels. What are the prerequisites which you should know for the subjects, and the competencies, and where do we have the job opportunities available for these for this subject? And there are some snapshots of the posts as well as the job profiles from LinkedIn, where students, those who have entered into this field of hybrid electric and electric vehicles, and a new dimension to this, which is now fuel cell based vehicles. And in general, the fuel cell which is used, we are using hydrogen fuel here. So AVVs, all EHVs that we call, they are now a well-known machine or a well-known vehicle in the society. Yes, there is a very slow upgradation or a slow transition from the gasoline based, or we call them IC engine based vehicles, into the electric vehicles or hybrid ones. So the performance of IC engine based vehicles is actually much better still in comparison to EVs. Now the challenge in this field for everyone, the manufacturers, academicians, researchers, people working in this field, is how to enhance EVs or EHVs performance so that gradually they take over the IC engine based vehicles. So for that, the battery design is one area under electric vehicles. Charging stations we require, and there are a range of design issues, and also rather than design issues, for an OEM, original equipment manufacturer, or the core manufacturer of vehicles, they have their assembly line for decades. It has been structured for the IC engine based vehicles. Changing them is quite a big task. So that is the resistance which the society is getting, the manufacturer is getting, and that is why overall we are not converting drastically towards electric vehicles. One good thing, since it is on batteries, you don't fill in petrol or diesel, which is burned. You have smokes coming out of the current vehicles. So EHVs or hybrid vehicles, they are really towards zero emission. They do have some carbon emissions happening, but that is to a very less level. So if you can see the last point, optimization of EHVs, the emissions, costs, fuel economy, or charging parameters, and the general hybridization, these are the major thrust or research areas for the particular subject or the course that we will be discussing here. Prerequisites, some of these subjects or areas or courses which are listed, students from across the branches, you have studied at least one or the two subjects, either as a core till your fourth semesters. And control systems in general is common to everybody nearly, except for civil engineering, but definitely it's not so difficult. Basic of control systems can always be revised to take this particular course. You have microcontrollers, DSPs, signal systems, some of the EEC related, electrical related subjects, and basic electronics, analog circuits that was already introduced to everybody. If you talk about the softwares or the other co-curricular, extracurricular based activities that you should be initiating at your end, is to know about the Simulink or Simscapes module, which is in MATLAB. And under that, we do have MBD, that is model based designs, and battery management system modules, which are the advanced modules in a MATLAB software. So institute having a MATLAB tie-up, you can always go through and have an hands-on experience and learn these softwares. If we turn towards coding, embedded C, C++ can be used, and we can work on some projects related to EVs or EHVs. Automotive industry, they use an automotive system architecture. They have their own setup for this operating system on which they do or they develop designs and products for EHVs. Or nowadays, Misra C is another coding platform which is more popular. We have some multinational companies like Dassault, Tata Elxsi, Hyundai, and Ashok Leyland, and they do have their own simulation software, or they have their own operating system or the whole system available, which is purely working on development and on the research of electric vehicles. You can see we do have NPTEL or Udemy courses also available. Someone can always register, and you can just understand the basics, and that will be enough to take this particular course in the 5th semester. The skill and competencies enhanced. Based on the syllabus that has been framed, you can see there are 4 learning objectives which have been defined. The student would be learning the basics related to vehicle dynamics, transmission characteristics, various transmission techniques, and traditional and modern vehicles. The second would be understanding functioning of various propulsion systems and energy sources required for electric or hybrid electric vehicles. Then taking the next dimension, getting exposed to the field of electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and fuel cell based. In general, we will be discussing in this last module or the unit more about hydrogen fuel here. Last objective, learning objective, is understanding the concept of regenerative braking and the significance in the design. So out of many modules related to a vehicle design, we will just take one case study on the regenerative braking system for an electric vehicle. Once you go through these courses, you can see the outcome is that you will be able to figure out the necessity of having electric vehicles or hybrid electric vehicles or fuel cell based vehicles, so that for a better world, having less pollution, we can gradually, or if we can speed up, we can switch to these type of vehicles, and we can control or stop the exploitation of natural resources in name of gasoline fuels, that is petrol, diesel, etc. Students after the course would be understand the necessity of regenerative type of the electrical braking system for our urban drive cycles, because rather than driving on a highway, or if you are traveling from one to another city where you have not many changes in your drive patterns because of a lot of turns and traffics, an urban drive cycle is quite complex. So for such situations, an electric or hybrid electric vehicle is always has better performance compared to the current vehicles that we have on roads. So gathering the complete knowledge about design and electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, and the last outcome would be to comprehend and justify the setup or upscaling of a hydrogen generation and infrastructure development in India, which is a very broad outcome. So that if this is the future scope of automotive industry, definitely the hydrogen fuel demand will increase. Then how right from the government rules, regulations till the local area or localization, how we can work on hydrogen fuels, and so that it is available the way currently we have petrol and diesel available at every nook and corner. So this is how we need to work on the outcomes of the subject. I think the name itself explains it. The industry where it is applicable, the subject, if you go through, you can try out your jobs in automotive industry, the manufacturing units in India or abroad. Uh, Definitely industries related to metals and minings, wherever you have oil and gas productions. It may be the public sector, government based, or the private sector, just like Reliance Industries. In power sector, we can work on grids, so that the battery management, we can work on this. An image in the presentation, you can see what are the names of different industries where we have these people or these companies, those who are trying to enter now into electric as well as hybrid electric vehicles. So if I can just talk about Hindalco, you have Hindustan Copper, Graphite, Tata Chemicals, Ashok Leyland, Maruti Suzuki, Exide, Hero MotoCorp, Amar Raja Batteries, and Greaves Cotton, Tata Motors, and there are many those who are coming up now. If you want to work into a managerial type of job, if that is your plan, apart from being associated with a technical company, you can also work with supply chain management on auto parts, in the battery technology and the management related areas, on the database for electric vehicles, for the wireless and IoT projects, or the research area for automotive, and also with the infotainment or other facilities inside a vehicle, in a top end vehicle. We do enter with artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, automation, etc. So already I have listed all these companies. Just want to highlight that many of these, few companies do visit GID, whatever may be the slag or the upscaling in the campus situation across India or globe. We do have our students capable of getting absorbed into these companies, and you can see the name. If you see the main 5 companies in USA, which are also working, and most of them have established a wonderful setup. They have a wonderful process going on in the electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. You can see Honda, Ford, Tesla, Toyota, and General Motors. So if now these are the few the job profiles. You can see function developer for e-machine and transmission controls, EV engineer, a trainer for electric vehicles, battery design, or a faculty is also required in some institutes. You can go for post graduation in this field, and you can definitely enter into teaching. There are courses in post graduation in many premier universities across India, where the post graduation in automotive field is also running. You can always try your hand on teaching experience. So if I just keep on taking ahead, you have job profiles in industry, even for a research based job profile, different type of functionality engineer, or any techno managerial based posts. So list goes on. So, and these are the different job profiles. So electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, the 5 modules that we will be covering. We will be taking you through the electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, and the end we will introduce a fuel cell based vehicle, hydrogen fuel based vehicle as an example. And this will cover the whole subject, which will be offered in the name of electric, hybrid electric, and fuel cell based vehicles. So all the best on your selection, and thank you for listening and see you on board for the subject when the Google Forms will be floated for you to select your electives. Thank you, everyone.